G'day Ramshacklers, how you going? This is our first of our zombie apocalypse videos, and I certainly hope you've been stocking up at Dan Murphy's rather than Woolies. Red wine is probably more of a necessity than toilet paper. So, scales. Why do we need to know about scales? Glad you asked. Good question. Scales are the building blocks, really. If you understand scales, you'll understand melody. You'll understand how melody is constructed. You'll understand how chords are made and how chords are structured, and from that there just comes a wealth of knowledge and interesting stuff to learn, basically. And it all starts with understanding a scale. Now, there's a couple of different things that is really good to understand about a scale, and how we go about that is we're going to do some stuff on the keyboard. I'd really encourage you to have your own keyboard, even if it's just the cheapest Aldi one. Oh God, maybe not Aldi, but you know, the cheapest one you can get. Jump on a keyboard and you can do some of this stuff with me. And the other thing that's really good is to listen as well. So I like to think that while we're learning with our brains and our hands, we should be connecting with our ears as well. So we're also going to do in another video the different scales, because it gets a bit confusing. You've got a major scale, a minor scale, and you've got your harmonic minor, and then your melodic minor, and then you've got your pentatonic, and you've got your this and your that. Before you know it, your mind's completely blown, you've got no idea what's going on, and if you're anything like me, you'll just sit and play a few random notes and hope they're the right ones. So understanding scales is kind of key to really unlocking a lot of really cool stuff about music. So how is a scale constructed? So we're going to start with a C major, nice easy C major scale on the piano. Why do we do it on the piano? Because C major is all white notes on the piano. And you know what? It makes it a little bit easier. So if you want to pause your video, take this over to your keyboard and you can have a go. Together we can do this. So pause now. All right, back. Here we go. So we're going to find our middle C. I am assuming some knowledge here, so find your middle C, and we're going to have a look at our C major scale. So we start on the C, and we go to the D, and then we come up to the E, and then the F, the G, the A, the B, and then we're back at the C, but it's an octave higher. That's your C major scale, all white notes. Now, fortunately for us, because they're all white notes, makes it really easy to look at how is this scale actually structured. And we can notice a few things. Okay, we've got these pesky black notes up here. Oh, if you ever want to improvise and do a really cool jazz solo, just use the black notes. Everyone will think you're a genius. Anyway, back to scales. You might notice there's these pesky little black notes here. And the convenient thing about C major is that we don't use any of them. Isn't that great? So, with our C, we're going to jump that black note and we're going to go to the D. Now, there is a note in between there, and we'll do another video on that later, but we've jumped what we could say is a whole step instead of a half step, or a whole tone instead of a half tone. There are different ways that we can talk about it, and the language is fairly interchangeable. I don't really mind what language you use, well, as long as you're not swearing too much, I guess. But it's important that we understand that we've jumped a note. Okay, we've gone C, we've missed this one, we've gone to D, we've jumped a note. So we've gone from our C up a tone. From our D to our E, we do exactly the same thing. We've skipped that pesky black note in the middle, we've gone up another tone, and now we've arrived on E natural. So here's our C. So we've gone up a tone, we're a third of the way through our scale now, guys. Isn't that cool? Then we don't have a black note between the E and the F. We've got no choice but go up to the F, because don't forget, C major, no black keys, right? So we're not going to play a black key. There's none there to play. So we're going to go up to the F. But it's not a whole step, is it? Because we haven't jumped a black note. we've just gone to the next note. So that's a half step or a half tone. So far, we start with our C. We go tone, tone, semitone. Yeah? So on our C, our starting note, also called our tonic note, not the gin and tonic note, shame. We go tone, tone, semitone. Now we're four notes of our 8-note scale down. Isn't that brilliant? We're halfway there. Once we get to this pesky one, we go back to our full step or our full tone jumps. Okay, so our next note, we go up a tone. The next white note, you notice we're skipping a black one, so it's up a tone as well. And then another black note we're skipping, so it's up a tone. And then our final note in the C major scale, which is that top C or the octave C, is another one of those half steps, isn't it? Because there's no black note between the B and the C, so it's a semitone. Okay? So to recap, back we're on our F again. So we've got our C, D, E, we're on our F, and we're going tone, 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 semitone. Yeah? So starting on our C, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And that's how a major scale is constructed. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. It doesn't change. There's no surprises. You can choose any note on the keyboard, and as long as you're doing that sequence of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, you will have a major scale. Why don't you put the video on pause, give it a go. Yeah? Go on, do it. Did you do it? It works. I promise you, it works. Yeah? Because that's the way a major scale works. A major scale will never change. Doesn't matter what note you choose. It doesn't even matter what note is called. These black notes, they've got 2 different names. So sometimes 3, I guess. It doesn't even matter. You don't even have to know what you're making. You just choose a note and you go tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. That's a major scale. It's really easy, isn't it? So, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you some things to practice. Okay, just major scales. That's it. We've got so many other scales, but I don't want you to get too carried away at the moment. I just want you to practice some major scales. Okay. Each instrument, I think, has major scales that we tend to use over and over again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you out a little link, and in that it's going to have 4 scales I want you and your particular instrument to be able to practice. 4 major scales. Yep. And I want you just to be able to do that nice and simple. Nothing tricky about that at all. And I'll send that out to you. So now, if we understand that this is our major scale, then we can start to look at some really cool stuff, because a lot of stuff happens within the context of this scale. And from this, we get our major chord. And that's really cool to understand how to make chords as well, because chord theory and making chords, that's cool. That's awesome stuff. So, if we understand that there are 8 notes and that we have this tone, 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 semitone thing happening, we can also understand that these notes are also given a slightly different name as well. So we call this the tonic, yeah, or the home key, the home note. But most of the time we would call it just one. The next one up, which is the D, we would call 2. And the E is 3, and so on. So instead of having C, D, E, F, G, have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once you understand a little bit that this is how this scale works, then we can start to build chords and other really cool stuff out of it. So out of our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if we want to make a major chord out of this, and you can practice this at home, because once again, you can find a major scale on any key of your piano, any key, and you can apply this to it. But now we're calling it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can choose note number 1, we can choose note number 3, and we can choose note number 5. Those three notes together make a major chord. Okay? So it's a really nice thing to do, to sit down at the piano and actually play around with this kind of stuff. Yeah? And I really want you to do that for the next lesson. So any questions, please put them in the comments, and I will send you out some things that are going to be specific to your instrument and the kind of things that I'd like you to do for the next, I don't know, however long, probably forever, I hope. But getting these, getting a little bit of an understanding of how these things are structured and put together will really, really help. Really super help, I promise you. And get on a keyboard and have a play around. Let me know how you go. Try 5 different random notes on the keyboard. Actually, I've got a guinea pig for you. Bruce, I'm going to grab my guinea pig and he's going to show you just how easy / difficult it is. Hey Brucey, he's home. Looking his finest. Okay, so Bruce is going to choose any key on the piano and he's going to make a major chord with tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So let's see how easy it is to be done. Here you go, Bruce. I'm making a major scale, not a chord. Making a major scale. Choose any note on the piano, Brucey.
Terrible. B flat.
Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Good. Good. Choose this one.
Oh goodness.
Think tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone.
G sharp.
Tone. Good. There you go. So you can see it's pretty easy to do. So go and give it a shot yourself. Go and practice making some major scales, and I will get some stuff organised for B flat instruments, E flat instruments, concert instruments, and chord instruments. See you later, Ramshackle.